Hello, Internet, and welcome once again. Q just clicking and typing away while the intro played there. Welcome once again to the Free-to-Play cast, brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I'm magicman, aka Mike Byrne. Actually, I think I'm Mike Byrne, aka magicman. But this is episode 235, recording on September 21st. You'll be watching it on the 22nd or later, and Guild Wars 2's expansion, Path of Fire, will have launched. I'm sure we will talk about that, even if it's just briefly to get what everybody is going to be doing as we go through the news. But joining me this week, let's introduce the panel, Mr. Jason Winter. What's up, sir?
Now, be honest. Do you really have me on the show because you want me, or just you want the fish?
I want the fish.
Yeah, okay. So I'll just go over here then.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Their insight might be more optimistic. I'm not sure, but if I had to place a bet,
what do the fish think about the Amazing Eternals? We should ask them.
Also joining us today, Ms. Quinlan Bowers. What's up, Q?
I cannot sit back in my chair because my cat's a dick.
I think that's generally what they do, though, right? I mean, this isn't out of the ordinary for said cat.
No, but he's really being a dick today.
Hopefully he'll move so that you can sit back while we get started with the news. All right, today we're going to kick it off with, since we didn't have a show last week, last week's news sucked. Kind of sucked.
This week's wasn't really that much better.
Yeah, but now we have a lot of little stuff, which, okay, I can work with that. If I have a lot
of crap instead of a little crap. There you go.
If I have a lot of little news, then I can join them on like things and make topics and things like that. If I get like 2 little news stories and then the rest is us trying to find something you might be interested in, there's really no point in talking about it for 45 minutes. So,
I wrote an article this week on games that people don't play. That's how bad it is.
That's a good article. That was actually a really good article. Take a look over on MMOBomb.com. MMOs that actually people just don't play. Some of the charts were a bit fun there. So speaking of things either people play or don't, we're going to talk about coming and going. A little segment about games coming and about games going. And I think we should start off with Jason's favorite press release. So we get press releases all the time, right? And you guys and gals and out there in Gamerland, you see versions of most of these press releases, but every game touts the big things in their game, the best of ever, the best this, the most advanced this, and a lot of it's hyperbole, of course, and PR and advertising speak, and we see enough of it that we kind of just gloss over a lot of it occasionally. Not so with this one, where Jason, I sent the press release to Jason to write this one up. We're getting Iron Sight. It's a bit of a futuristic first-person shooter. It's coming west. It's been out for a while in the East, but we're going to get it in Europe and North America pretty soon. May fill that Ghost in the Shell itch if you were a fan of First Assault, and now it's no longer there. And before we get to the game itself, I do want to talk a little bit about the press release, Jason. What particularly struck you, somebody that sees hyperbole in advertising all the time, as odd about this presser?
Well, first of all, this wasn't the best one this week.
No, we'll talk
about the other one yet.
Yeah, we're going to, because
okay, we'll mention.
Yeah, I'm going to mention it at the end here since we're talking about pressers. Go ahead.
They really worked overtime to get all the cool buzzwords in. It's a military shooter. It's got futuristic. It's innovative twice. They mentioned that twice. Make sure to mention that. Next generation. It's military. There's dystopia. Just all the cool dude bro future scientific. Yeah, go kill stuff. And there's 2 sides. And there's the good guys versus the it's not good guys, bad guys. Like the democracy versus the People's Republic or whatever the heck. You know, whatever. Yeah, just all the buzzwords you want to put in your military shooter. They were found right here in this press release.
What I particularly liked about the game here is it's set in the future. It's a futuristic, next generation, innovative, and it takes place in the year 2025, 8 years from now.
Is this the one where you were commenting on the fact that in the key art, the guys are like in full armor, but with the chick, you definitely get the cleavage?
Yep, yep.
Also, very, typical.
So it hit. We thought it was funny, and it's not to say the game's crap or it's good. We don't know, right? We haven't played it or anything like that. We're just Oh, I remember that. Do you remember, Jason? Was that with you? Maybe. I took a verbal lashing from Scarlet Blade fans before that game came out, because we did this same type of thing. We got a presser and a trailer, and we talked about the presser and the trailer on here, and to cue your point, one of the things that we were like was, wow, this trailer is straight just going after the sex appeal. That's it. They're not even, the trailer isn't offered. And man, I got lambasted on that game's forums before that game came out for making judgments about the game, and that we were reviewing the trailer. I mean, that was all we had, and called their trailer suck. And oh man, so
I played that game.
Yeah,
I did play that game, and I actually played it a good while. But I do seem to remember the main selling point of that game being boobies.
Yeah, it was. So I was taking flack for the only thing that I defended my opinion on was I wasn't extrapolating that opinion onto the game. It was the trailer that we were reviewing. Not to say that my opinions are going to be wrong about the game too, but in the stuff that you're talking about, we were talking about the trailer. So yeah, in this trailer, you're going to see that type of stuff too, the armor and the boobs and on the female characters and stuff like that, because apparently by 2025, we're still stuck in that, in the 8 years that we have between now and then, Jason, we don't progress beyond this at all. We're still there 8 years from now, according to this trailer.
Well, in 8 years, apparently the battle is over, quote, the last natural resources on Earth. Which, geez, we're going to run out that soon?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're going to run out, but I didn't think it was going to be 8 years from now. I didn't think it was going to be 8 years.
Like no trees or anything, I guess, anymore,
So it's coming. We don't have a date. We just know early 2018. On the game itself, I gotta say, if you're into first-person shooters, this looks like a pretty damn good one. Again,
it looks pretty smooth.
Yeah, it looks smooth. The graphics look nice. It looks fast-paced. It looks like from their press release, they're going to have plenty of different maps. They're talking about 20 combat zones. It looks like it hits the mark. It also looks run-of-the-mill, right? It doesn't look like it's doing anything incredibly fantastic, or brand new. But I gotta say, watching the trailer, I would want to play that. I would want to check that out. It's not like when I saw Lawbreakers and I immediately knew, hey, that may be a good shooter, but that one's not for me. This one, I would give a shot to. What did you guys think of the trailer? Q, we'll go with you.
I mean, it's a thing with shooters. They almost always look nice. Like, that is one thing I will give shooters. Most shooters look really pretty. It's kind of disgusting how pretty shooters can look, like compared to other games. But most of them look really pretty and everything. As far as like innovative or whatever, I don't even think it's possible to really innovate on shooters anymore. I think we've reached that point where there's really nothing new that you can do. So it's just another shooter. It's a pretty shooter, but it's a shooter.
Jason?
I mean, yeah, it looks nice. And actually, what I was really surprised by was all the people, because I compared it to First Assault, Ghost in the Shell. I'm surprised that people in the comments were like, oh, I love First Assault. This looks great. I'm
yeah,
like, really?
I saw that too.
Not that I think First Assault was terrible or anything, but it also had that kind of sort of semi-generic thing. And finally, one guy, Wheeland, said he played it for over 700 hours. I'm like,
wow.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, this looks like a decent one, and particularly in the free-to-play market. There's a kind of a... It's funny when you look at it. There's not a lot of top-tier free-to-play shooters right now once you get outside of, like, obviously Team Fortress 2 being a long-standing one. And once you start getting outside of those top few titles... A few years ago, Jason... For months and months and months, it was all we covered was the next free-to-play shooter, Warface, and then this, and the Q's favorite game title of all time.
Warface.
Well, now it's nothing but the next MOBA and the next card game.
Right, and now we've kind of moved to MOBAs and card games, and shooter fans are maybe feeling a little, well, there's not exactly quite what I'm looking for. Will Iron Sights be that? Maybe, maybe not, but hey, I gotta say, watching the trailer, I definitely want to give it a whirl. I'll probably be terrible at it, but I'll still have fun. Speaking of fun PR, Dragon's Prophet. Do you guys remember that game?
Vaguely.
Do you guys remember that game?
It was one of the greatest MMOs of all time.
So apparently, you know, that one that closed in the West here pretty quickly. Apparently they're releasing or going to be releasing, I don't know if it's an...
They called it a successor.
Yeah, they called it a successor, but they're also, like, launching it next week. Like, we got a presser, and it's coming out next week. But it doesn't even have a website. It wasn't even something we saw coming. I'm sorry we don't have a ton of details on this one for you. The presser left a lot to be desired. But what it did say was rather astonishing, given the fact that everybody knows how not well Dragon's Prophet did, particularly here in the West. Jason, do you have the quote in front of you? And I don't want to spend too much time on this because we don't have official information on it yet, but this is a funny sentence. Go ahead, Jason.
This game is a successor of Dragon's Prophet, one of the most successful MMORPG ever launched. First of all, it was MMORPG singular, and successful was also spelled wrong.
That's setting aside the fact that they had the audacity to call Dragon's Prophet one of the most successful MMORPGs to ever launch.
Hey, you don't know how they gauge success, okay?
Yeah,
I guess
might be true if you're talking about the top 10,000 or so.
I'm just saying you don't know how they gauge success.
Yeah, I guess we'd have to see the metrics on that one, Q. I think you're right. So we'll have more information about that one hopefully next week. Just thought since we were talking about PR and pressers that one was incredibly mind-boggling when we saw it. Next up, this received mixed reaction upon initial announcement, but Fortnite is adding, guess what, a Battle Royale mode, because that's what you do with your games now. Every game gets a 100-person Battle Royale mode. And again, I can't say it doesn't make sense for this type of game, Jason. I mean, it fits very much in the molds of the H1Z1s, the DayZs, those types of games. So, okay, fine. I get it, what you're trying to do here. And initially, it didn't seem all that well received when I searched the internet by Fortnite players. Was that just me, or did you guys see the same thing, Jason?
Again, I have to go to the comments on this because the one last guy says, "Don't know if this is a great move or not." And that's kind of, in my opinion, just about everything the Epic has done with Fortnite.
Yeah, it's very weird.
I can't immediately call out and say you guys are idiots for doing this, but I'm also not like, yeah, this is awesome. It's like, maybe this is a good move?
Yeah, Q, it's like one of those things that, given the nature of the game, makes sense to me. We've in that type of survival genre, we've seen battle royales, okay. But it also seemed to me that Fortnite was trying to go in a slightly different direction compared to its competitors, and this kind of just lumped it all back in there for me. I don't know. I just thought it was a weird direction to go. And what makes it even stranger, Q, is that now, not only is Battle Royale coming to the game, but that specific mode, will be free for everyone when it launches next week on the 26th. Now, they're not going to sell competitive advantage or anything like that. They're saying it's just going to be cosmetics, and even that is down the road. They're not ready for that yet. But I think it's funny, Q. It's like they're trying to separate this out into its own game, because Fortnite, although it's going to be free to play, right? It's not free to play right now. You still have to get the Founders Packs or buy the PS4 box, which I saw in the store and I thought was absurd. But they're going to take this Battle Royale mode and put it on the launcher by itself, add it to PlayStation, Xbox stores as its own mode. And we saw this before. Do you guys remember this? We saw a company do this before, and it did not end well for that spin-off. Do you remember when Ark Survival did this?
That's actually what I was just thinking of. I was like, I know this has been done before, and I'm pretty sure it was Ark. Then again, my brain is really fuzzy today, so I wasn't 100% sure that that's who it was, but I knew somebody's done it before. It's really weird to me when you just divide a game like that. But, I mean, if they came out and kind of did a thing where it was like, Literally like, you know, this is Fortnite and this is a game and this is just another game with the Fortnite branding, kind of like, you know, Hi-Rez does with all the Smite stuff and everything, or Blizzard does, you know, popping its characters back and forth, stuff like that. And you can just be like, it's part of the brand, but it is legitimately a different game. But when you're kind of like, it's just a different mode that's part of the same game, but everybody can play this and only people who buy this can play this. It's weird when you basically divide your community like that.
Yeah, and if you look, Jason, it kind of follows the same path. So Ark Survival Evolved was in development. Ark Survival of the Fittest, this like free-to-play MOBA-esque addition to their game, was put out as a standalone free-to-play product while the original was still in development. The audience kind of went, wait a minute, what are you doing? You're dividing this now into two different games. You're giving this one away for free. Does this mean that the development team is being pulled away from a game that is technically not finished yet? And then within months, we saw Survival of the Fittest go away entirely, the free-to-play version of it. And when you look at Fortnite, you kind of see the same thing. A game that is not done yet, now having a separate mode branched off into its own free-to-play game. What does that do to the resources on both sides? And does it take away from any potential development for Fortnite? Was it even needed? And if the whole game, at least with Ark, I got it. You know, Ark Survival you had to pay for. Here's a free-to-play PvP thing, so we can attract maybe a bigger audience that will hopefully adopt and buy into the Ark Survival game itself. Fortnite's eventually going to be free anyway. I'm a little confused by this. I won't say it's a bad decision. I would just say that the precedent doesn't work in their favor, Jason. Maybe I should leave it at that. What do you think?
So I kind of tend to go in the other direction on that. I
Really?
think because we know Fortnite is going to be free to play, which Ark wasn't going to be. Ark was never going to be free to play. Because Fortnite is going to be free to play, I can see this as kind of a trial. And, you know, in 6 months when everything is free to play, it's just going to mold right in. It's going to seem perfectly natural. The Ark thing was never going to happen that way. They're never going to, well, they were never, like, that was not the initial plan to fold Survival of the Fittest into the basic Survival Evolved game. I don't know, did they ever get rid of the standalone, or did they mold it in? I think it became part of the paid game or something, didn't it?
Well, it was originally part of the paid game. Then they transferred it out. I don't know if...
No, it was originally free, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I think their motivation for that partially was to build up the esports potential. If I remember correctly.
Oh, you know, we haven't thought about that, and maybe that's why Fortnite's doing this, because everybody's got to have their esports.
I think that was because everybody who was playing... like was buying in early to Ark, they were setting up their own tournaments and stuff. So I think that if I remember correctly, they were kind of trying to build up the esports potential by making it more available and getting more people interested in playing it. There's another game too that did something very similar, but it was kind of an apology for development issues.
I don't remember that one.
I sort of think of H1Z1 on some level too.
No, that's not H1Z1 I was thinking of. But there is another game who they made.
Repopulation.
Oh yeah.
That other thing.
Yeah.
It's something. Yeah. And they made another free-ish version for people until the version they were working on was something.
Yeah, because the Repopulation ran into all those issues with their engine. The hero engine and stuff, and so development had to be halted on that. They made a game that they were charging for, but people that were involved in the Repopulation did get it for free. To answer your question, Jason, Survival of the Fittest was introduced into the game in patch 200 as a total conversion mod, and then on March 15th, 2016 was released as a standalone game. So it was in Survival, then went to standalone, and from everything I'm seeing, I would assume that it would have gone back into Ark at some point, but the last update I have is that they actively stopped doing it, and in 2017 said they wanted to focus their efforts towards the main game, and it may or may not be continued in the future. Funny how the #1 concern that the viewers and fans of Ark brought up at the time of, is this splitting your focus, was exactly what they used as the reason for, we're going to shut this down. We need to focus on this. So good luck to Fortnite. The precedent doesn't look great. I will say in Fortnite's favor, the game's a little further along than Ark was when Ark did this. and I think it fits the overall theme of the Fortnite experience a little better. To be fair to your point, Jason, that yeah, this is kind of like a Fortnite light. And if you want to get into the more involved gameplay, head on over to Fortnite. So we'll see. We'll keep our eyes on it, but it's a bit of a mixed bag right now. Jason,
it doesn't do an H1Z1 where this takes off and they completely ignore the PvE game.
Right.
Yeah.
Jason, let's go to you for this next one. You were watching as this was all streamed and revealed. We finally got some more details on Magic: The Gathering Arena, the de facto replacement for Duels or Origin Duels or whatever the 7 titles it ended up having for Magic: The Gathering's online play. So what's the word with Arena?
I'm ready. Have you even got my shirt?
Oh, look at you.
Oh, see, there we go. But yeah, so it's going to be, it's still Magic: The Gathering. You're still going to play. You're still going to have 7 cards in your hand, 20 life, 5 colors, whatever. But they definitely, you could tell that they are really trying to streamline this from how Duels played. If you play Duels, it's played like the tabletop card game, but the problem was that trying to convert that to a computer can be a little iffy because everybody has to take their turn. When I play a card, do you want to interrupt that? If I play an interrupt, do you interrupt that? It's the timing stuff going back and forth, having to click on your timer here, your timer there. It wasn't a whole lot of fun to play. Now, they do have that ability in Arena. You can slow down time to make sure you can react to all that stuff. But the default is that you just play stuff back and forth, do your thing, whatever. They really want to streamline that sort of thing. They brought it up a few times during the show, and even showed it off on the stream, like oh, here, now he's actually going to go into slow time or whatever it's called. And they actually, brought that out as a separate thing. But for the most part, they really want to, they've done a better job, I think, with this in prepping it. Another key point they had was that they still want this to be Magic with all the things that you find in Magic, all the timing, all the cards, etc. But they really brought in that they want to make it a more accessible experience. Probably a bit more, they wanted to make it a lot more watchable. That was another thing that they brought up a few times. So it just feels a whole lot better than how Duels just kind of happened. I think Zach called that a YOLO launch. And that's exactly how Duels Origins, whatever, felt like. Whereas this feels like it's a lot more planned. The fact that they had just this hour-long reveal with 3 people talking about it and a couple of streamers playing a game, even that much just felt like a more planned, a better PR rollout than Duels ever got. So they really are putting a lot more focus into this, into their whole digital initiative that they're calling it now, with this and probably a few other games that'll happen. Eventually, maybe that Perfect World MMO that they're working on too. So yeah, they are definitely looking to make this a lot better experience than what we got with Duels and make it something that'll hopefully be a larger and more well-received product.
Q, I don't know about you, but my favorite feature after watching the entire thing here, and I had to watch it after the fact. We were recording the cast at the time when this was on last 2 weeks ago. I don't know about you, and this is going to seem dumb, but I loved the intuitive tapping. Finally, the system realizes that if I'm using 3 and a mountain, and these are my lands out here, that this is probably the combination of lands and I can go and adjust it if I want to do something different, slightly different on my turn. But that was and I know that's petty, because I played Magic as a teenager for years and years and years and years, and still have all these boxes of cards in there from Alpha, Beta, and Revised, which was when I played. And playing it online, I've always hated having to tap every single frickin' card to summon anything. And I just thought that was a nice little touch. And although it's small, it definitely goes to what you're talking about, Jason, in that ultimate playability, watchability, speed, while still retaining the actual core of the game. It just seems like they took a cue from games like Hearthstone and things like that and said, how can we streamline this without having to create an entirely different rule set in an online environment, which is what they should have done with Duels to begin with, Q.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things, right? It is kind of tolerable in talking about, playing the actual card game or playing tabletop, tabletop games and stuff like that. It's tolerable for some reason to our brains to put a lot more effort into those things, right? It just is. Like I am sitting down and you know, building a character for D&D or something like that, right? We spent way more time doing that on paper than we would want to spend building a character in a game. Right? There's just something in our brains that's like, it's on a computer now, it's got to be faster and easier. So, and if it's not worth doing. But you know, I'll just go over here and write up a sheet, or you know, or break out the cards. Like once it's on a computer, it's got to be faster and easier. That's the whole point.
At the end
You're
of
not one of those people who spends an hour and a half on the character creator, like modeling the face and choosing the exact one of the 16 million hair shades or whatever.
No, because I mean, it's like me when I was trying to build things in the Dimensions and Rift. If I let myself, I will never get out of those, because I can never get them perfect enough. So I just don't.
I gotta say, Jason, I'm still a little more eagerly anticipating taking a look at what Perfect World is doing with the IP than to, for me, while I appreciate many people want to play Magic online, that's just not me anymore. I don't play the game in real life anymore. I can't imagine sitting there playing it online. One thing I will ask, just because I saw a viewer ask, do we have any information on two-headed fights, which was a big thing in duels?
I think they said that they want to do different modes, but it's not something like currently like necessarily part of the equation at the moment.
Gotcha. Well, we'll keep an eye on it as our resident Magic the Gathering t-shirt wearing writer will keep us appraised of the situation. Those are things coming. Let's talk about a couple things going. Battleborn. Yeah, its content development is done. You can still play it. You can still play it.
For now.
The servers are going to stay online, but Gearbox Software not working on it anymore. The update they just put in, was it? Did they just put it in, or is it going in this weekend? It is. I think they just put it in. So Battleborn's next update, last one, no more. Kind of seeing it go the way of Evolve, right? Came out with a price tag, went free to play. Generally Evolve was better received in the free-to-play conversion than I think Battleborn was, but generally they were received well. And then almost immediately we heard that the developers were out. In Turtle Rock Studios' case with Evolve, and now with Gearbox Software and Battleborn. Again, just a matter of months. 3 months after it went free-to-play.
I wonder if the same thing is going to happen with Lawbreakers. Like, maybe because there's plenty of games that have started out as a paid game and moved to free-to-play and moved on just fine. But then you have, you know, like these games that they go, and you would think that logically they'd be fine on free-to-play, but do the developers just not understand how to monetize free-to-play?
In the case of Lawbreakers, yes. That is absolutely
that. But I'm just saying in general, these ones that's like, they should be doing fine, but there's some disconnect there where apparently they can't figure out how to make enough money to keep developing the game worthwhile.
Just gonna go ahead and share.
Going to Steam charts, aren't you?
This screen with you. And we'll just pause and reflect on that for a moment. The blue line being Lawbreakers, the green line being Battleborn.
Ouch. Yeah, I hadn't looked at that.
We're just gonna reflect on that for a moment. I don't know. I feel bad for Lawbreakers. Apparently, it's a good game. I don't feel bad. Never mind. I don't feel bad. I feel bad.
You don't care.
I feel bad for the people that play Lawbreakers and really find something that they want there. That like fast-paced Twitch arena shooter that really hasn't had too much of a market lately, and really just want more people to go in there and it being more skill-based than anything. Because so much, I agree, even being a casual myself, I think so much is geared towards casuals now that it's harder for that more hardcore market. Destiny 2 is a perfect example, right? I'm enjoying the hell out of Destiny 2, but even I realize this is not a hardcore shooter. I'm decent at this because it has been made more accessible. So I kind of feel for that audience that, like, no matter how small, Jason, no matter how small, I know, I feel for that audience that wants something like Lawbreakers, just to have a company kind of screw it up in the background with some silly decisions. Go ahead, Q.
I was going to say, if Destiny were hardcore, then like most of the people that I know that are playing it would not be playing it.
Yeah, oh, exactly. Exactly. I mean, you don't get 1.2 million concurrent players by catering to a more hardcore crowd. You just don't. That's the reality of the situation.
Going to be interesting to see how Quake Champions comes along, because that's sort of like the next hardcore shooter.
Yeah.
Granted, it's got that Quake name, but we'll see if that's still a big deal, 20 years later.
Yeah. I almost like fooled myself the other day, because I am really, really good at Destiny 2's competitive PvP. I'm ass at its quick play, which is usually just like a deathmatch type stuff. I'm total ass at it when everybody's out for themselves. But I am super, super good in competitive, and I almost was like, man, I should start playing some more first-person shooters. I'm not that bad at it when it's strategy-based and stuff, and then I was like, fuck no, I'm playing Destiny. Destiny. I shouldn't be playing more. I should not tell people I'm good at this, because they're just going to go, yeah, you're good at it because it's an easy-ass game, dipshit. You're playing against other people that can't play first-person shooters. Generally, I know some of you Destiny guys and gals are hardcore shooters. I'm not saying all of you. Most of us are suck-ass casuals. So Battleborn totally got sidetracked into a Destiny discussion, and that's pretty much a good synopsis for the entire plan and implementation of Battleborn. Last thing going, and I put this one on here because this is near and dear to my heart. After 9 years, EQ2, the EQ2 Wire site is closing. So if you are an EQ2 fan, you know about EQ2 Wire, basically the go-to fan site for EverQuest news and talk and all that fun stuff. What I found interesting and what I want to talk about briefly here, and while we, of course, want to say thank you to Feldon, who's done a ton of work on EQ2 Wire for years and years and years now, and is moving on to focus on other things like barbecues, which you've earned it. Go enjoy a barbecue and win some at those competitions. I thought it was kind of telling, Jason, that in the announcement, Feldon pointed to both being busy in real life, and his deteriorating relationship with Daybreak Games. And I'm seeing a lot that might lean me towards, I don't think he's overblowing this. I don't think Feldon is overblowing this in any way, shape, or form. We just got an announcement on the, 14th EverQuest 2 expansion, the 24th EverQuest expansion, and they were buried in producers' letters. There was no hype or trailer or anything. At PAX West, they weren't even represented. They weren't even part of Daybreak's showing. And granted, it's EverQuest and EverQuest 2. Older games, smaller audiences. But we get these expansion announcements every year around this time, October, November, for this game. And they weren't, there wasn't even a table at PAX West for them. So I kind of get the feeling that maybe Daybreak doesn't care about these anymore, or more importantly, maybe Columbus Nova doesn't. And I can't imagine why. Like, if I was buying Sony Online Entertainment back then, Q, it would have been to own the EverQuest IP. That would have been my rationale. Own that EverQuest IP and do something cool with it. It has a built-in fan base, but it's almost like they're just, Next is canceled, EQ1 and EQ2, there's like no communication, everything's low-key. I don't get what the hell happened to this beloved franchise, Q.
I don't know. It's a little weird where people make decisions like that. And you're right in that. I mean, even if you've never played EverQuest, you know what EverQuest is. And a lot of people like, okay, EverQuest 2, like you said, they're older games. You know, they're not necessarily games that people now are going to go jump into if they haven't been in them already. But they know the names. It's just like Final Fantasy, right? Like if you put something Final Fantasy out there, every gamer's heard of Final Fantasy. And even if they don't want to, roll all the way back to the days of, 16-bit or, whatever, and play all the Final Fantasies all the way through and everything, there's still the whole, you can loosely understand the mythos of Final Fantasy, you can get into it, you can put out a new game. you know, and even with bad games on their ledger, people are still going to be like, it's Final Fantasy, we're going to try it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same thing with EverQuest. It's like, you know, people who missed the train on the first two, and they just don't want to go play an older game, would totally jump into a newer EverQuest game. Now, EverQuest it was a little weird, but if you're talking if they just made a straight, you know, fantasy MMO, EverQuest title, EverQuest themes, everything else, but better graphics and, you know, the updated UIs and all of that stuff, MMO players would jump into it.
Yeah, and
just to at least see.
That's what stuns me, Jason. There isn't a person out there that, no matter what game you're playing right now, if you're an MMO fan and a new EverQuest MMO came out, you would try it. Now, whether you'd stick around for a long time, of course, setting all that aside, but just from an investment opportunity, you're looking at what can I put my money in that's going to draw a lot of people on day one, and then hopefully the awesomeness of my product will keep them there, right? That's the whole goal. Any MMO fan that is playing MMOs today, if they heard a new EverQuest one was coming out, they would check it out. I would venture that a very high percentage of people that maybe aren't huge into MMOs but were huge into EverQuest would also fall into that bucket of they're releasing a new EverQuest. I don't have a lot of time for MMOs. I haven't played them since EverQuest 2, but I'm going to check it out because the nostalgia is there. The IP recognition is there. And I get if you want to slowly wind down EverQuest and EverQuest 2. I'm not faulting Daybreak for that. These are older products. They still cost money to do development for. Maybe not as much as they once did. Maybe they don't make as money as they once did. I totally get that. But it seems like it's just disappearing. And there is nothing on the horizon for... could you imagine somebody doing this with, like, Lord of the Rings at this point? Like, could you imagine the Lord of the Rings just... Okay, we're not going to update it anymore. We haven't communicated with you guys in years in a meaningful way anyway. And no, we're not going to do anything with it. Why would you sit on an IP like that? I get you got to be careful in spending money, but there is something that you could do with that IP that would start the ball rolling. And I'm just confused why it seems to just be fading away almost.
Be careful what you wish for. Q was like, oh, they can just make a fantasy MMO. I'm like, no, we've tried that. If we get anything, it's gonna be the EverQuest mobile or the EverQuest card game.
That's what I'm honestly.
We already had the EverQuest card game.
Yeah, we did. The Norath one.
EverQuest Team Shooter.
That's what I'm the most nervous about, though. I honestly, as an EverQuest fan, I am terrified that that's exactly what this once beloved IP is going to turn into. Some card game, some MOBA, and they've already, like you said, Jason, they've already tested those waters in not just card games, but also in more fighty strategy type games, and they haven't fared very well. So I would hope they would say, hey, EverQuest is an MMO, we got to make an MMO. But that's my MMO fanboy heart saying that. I don't want to. I would almost rather see it just go away if that was what they were going to do with it. But why buy it?
EverQuest H1Z1 mashup.
You're telling,
EverQuest Battle Royale.
You're telling me that Columbus Nova bought Sony Online Entertainment, banking on H1Z1, DC Universe Online, and these other titles being the long-term cash cows that I'm sure an investment company wants them to be? No, well, I think it was EverQuest.
Maybe DC. Maybe DC Universe.
No. No.
I mean, well, there's always potential for, comic book related stuff somewhere. So H1Z1 though.
Go ahead, Jason.
When was it? It was like 2 years ago, I think, was when the Columbus Nova thing was done. So 2 years ago, yeah, they might have done a banking on EverQuest, maybe banking on EverQuest next. But we really can't laugh at H1Z1 because King of the Kill is
we can.
It's the number 4 played game on Steam.
Yeah, we can still laugh at it, though.
No, you can't, because it makes a crap ton of money.
We can still laugh at it. We can still laugh at it.
Okay,
I mean, they're laughing.
They're
laughing all the way to the bank, and that's fine.
Yes, they are banking on H1Z1 right now, and probably couldn't give a crap
about
But
they weren't. My point is, they weren't when they bought this.
No, they weren't. But then when H1Z1 took off, they're like, okay, well, now we'll bank on this, and the heck with EverQuest. We cancel next. Nobody. We're not getting.
By the
players.
way, those numbers
we'll
should terrify H1Z1 PvE players.
Well, yeah, that's still crap. Yeah.
That should absolutely terrify you if you're a fan.
Every like 3 months or so, 3 or 4 months, I'll go and look on one of the other news sites, and there's a post from like the H1Z1 Just Survive production lead or whatever. And he's like, the game's not dead. That's
right,
really, like,
that's the update.
We're still working on it, honest.
That's the update. There have been no funerals.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got sidetracked there, but salute to EQ2 Wire. It's sad to see you go. Jason, you wrote an article yesterday. Because guess what? Steam has now changed their review structure. Instead of getting just that, little snapshot of mostly positive, or whatever, they're going a little more in depth for you, the consumer. And I'm sure it is totally 100% based on you, the consumer, and not the fact that Dota 2 got review bombed to hell and back, right?
Yeah, just you never know. These things could just be completely unrelated. But the timing of it being, 3 weeks ago is when Dota 2 started getting review bombed, largely because the Half-Life 3, the former lead writer on it, posted a fanfic that used names like Gordo Fireman or whatever. And, he just changed all the names and basically posted what people saying is the Half-Life 3 script, what they were going to do for it. So he posted that, and then Dota 2 got the crap review bombed out of it, and I like to think there was a little residual hate from how Artifact has been handled and how that's been received. So August 26th, I think, was when that happened, when Dota 2 started getting review bombed. Then magically on September 19th, Valve introduces this plan to, hey, here's how we're going to try to combat review bombing. It's a big deal. We got to deal with it.
It's been a big deal for years.
Yeah. And now we're going to take care of it.
So what are they?
That's the point. Is that, the charts are neat, but they're not really that big of a thing. It seems like the kind of thing you could actually do in 2 or 3 weeks. If it was some grand plan that I could tell took months or years to put together, then sure, I'd say they're not related. But this looks like it's kind of half-assed, to be honest.
So basically, 30,000-foot view queue, all they really did was add some histogram charts so that your negative reviews still go in there, your positive reviews still go in there, but at a glance, when you click on it, you can now see the longer-term trend of the reviews. So it's visually recognizable if Q's game has received nothing but positive for 10 months, then her company said something racist on Twitter and a bunch of people bombed the shit out of the reviews, you could see that very quickly that, hey, it's been positive for 2 years, and now they're... But again, okay,
I just want to know, why do I have to have the horribly racist company?
Well, that's one of your employees. It was one of your employees.
One of your unpaid interns.
But that's the type of stuff that we see, and that Steam even spoke about in their post was, and they actually gave that one. The reason I gave it was a more specific example of if a company you don't like their political leanings, or they do something in the public eye that a bunch of people don't like, and they get review bombed. Well, those reviews are still worthy of being there because they're customer feedback, but they're not feedback on the game itself. And that was the whole idea of, well, let's show this. But that still involves, Jason, me looking at this and going, well, I don't know if I want to play it. The reviews were positive for 14 months, but then last month, everybody decided they hated that game. My next step is now I have to go and research, did something happen? Like, did an update fall that everybody hated? Did somebody say something outlandish on Twitter? Did something... It could just be the patch introduced a cash shop when Payday said there wasn't going to be a cash shop.
Exactly.
And everybody got pissed, and it's totally valid. I mean, there's that additional onus of research is still on you as the consumer. So I kind of think I agree with you. It's a half-assed solution, isn't it, Q?
Now, in the Payday thing, right, it would totally make sense for that review bombing, basically, or all those negative reviews to fall left or something like that. But it almost seems like for something else, right, where, like you said, somebody at a company says something racist. I don't know if people would actually look at this. They might not. But it seems like in that case, what you really need to have reviews on is the company, like some way to actually review the company. And maybe even put like a little mark next to the company name on the game page, you know, that's like, this is the review the company has, not the game. The game might be totally fine.
So like,
and that way,
like a glass door almost, except for everybody, not just employees.
yeah, but I mean, that way, right? Like, you know, you go, okay, then you can look at it and be like, well, why is this company rated so low? Do they have bad business practices? Are they just assholes? What's the problem? Do I actually want to buy from them and support them? But at the same time, it doesn't take away, you know, for people who just quickly glance at a game and they're like, I'm looking for something fun to play. And, you know, and that's the kind of thing I want to play. And then they come across, you know, and all the reviews are just suddenly bad. But you don't, like you said, you're not even going to go and look. It's just like, well, the game's really ranking low right now for whatever reason. Do I want to play it?
And I'll tell you what a consumer's going to do. They're going to see, oh, Jason's game has been good, and this month is getting a bunch of shit reviews. I'm going to go read a couple of those reviews real quick. I'm probably going to read like the first 3 or 4 to see what the general theme is. And if I can't find anything, well, you know what, I'll look at it later. At the end of the day, the onus is on you. You're the consumer, okay? Don't trust my review on a game. Don't trust Jason's review on a game. Don't trust Game Informers. If you're looking for information about the game, sure, read those reviews and everything. But it's so freaking personal what you're going to like and what you don't like. The Valve is never, in my opinion, going to be able to put in a be-all, end-all fix. I think this is a half-ass fix to begin with because it still puts all the onus on the consumer, even though they're trying to present it as we want to take away some of the work you have to do to research this. It's total bullshit. Jason, I know you want to give them the maybe it just could be coincidence. It's such a simple solution, and it happened right after Dota 2 got bombed.
You didn't feel like that was sarcasm?
No, he's trying to be... I think he's trying to tread a line and be like professionally...
not get sued.
Right, he's trying to be professionally journalistic. I think it's too much of a coincidence for me personally, and that's just my personal opinion. My personal opinions expressed are my own, not the representations of MMOBomb.com or Digital Walls Media.
We're going to get review bombed.
Anyway...
To be honest, though, on what you were saying about don't pay attention to Jason's review or just, you know, I never, ever read reviews. It doesn't matter if it's for films, books, games. I don't read reviews. I don't care what you think about a game.
Oh, I do.
I'll just decide if I like it or not. And if I don't like it, that's on me. But in 30-some-odd years of playing video games, I've had 2 games disappoint me. 2.
Yeah, I do. I watch first looks. Obviously, I make first looks. I watch reviews. There's a couple that I like more than others, obviously, because of the way they handle things or the way they cover things or just the sheer entertainment value. But at the end of the day, I don't know about you guys. I don't go to the store to buy that game because X reviewer gave it a 10 out of a 10. I go because I've watched a bunch of first looks. It's a game that already interested me, or I wouldn't even have watched those first looks to see if it was what I wanted to purchase. And as I learned a bit more about it, I decided whether or not I wanted to buy it. I didn't care if his rating was a 6 and her rating was a 5. I want to check it out for myself, and just do the same thing. Vote with your wallet. It's the same thing we always say. We're running so freaking long today. Real briefly, what are your plans for tomorrow? Q, you're not a Guild Wars 2 player, so I guess we could skip you there. I will be checking out Path of Fire tomorrow. Thank you to ArenaNet for supplying us codes to do so. But however, I am not doing any of the catch up with the season stories and stuff. I clearly cannot, because my character is still in the do you want to lock in this 80. So it's not even an option for me. I'm just going to go and enjoy it as more of a I'm returning to Guild Wars 2 after a very, very long hiatus. Let's see what's changed. So I think that's a nice perspective to get a review from. Be sure to read my review, and if I scored a 10, then you need to buy it. Listen to what my review says. It is the be-all, end-all. Jason, what about you? What are your plans here? Have you been dabbling in it to get caught back up?
You know, you get another level 80 boost with this.
I know. Now I'll have 2 characters. I can have them walk around together.
Yeah, I'm trying to get caught up with the story. I was obviously well behind. In the last couple weeks, I've gotten into it again. I might not even play tomorrow, not right away. I might, at some point over the weekend, I'll definitely get into it and see what it's got, I guess.
I think it'll be
Go to the
cool.
desert.
We should do a video or a joint article or something like that where we talk about it, because I think we're coming at it from two cool perspectives. Somebody that played Guild Wars 2 way back when and hasn't for a long time. Somebody that's dabbled pretty consistently with a few sporadic breaks here and there and is more in tune with the finer things in Guild Wars 2. I think it'd be nice two perspectives. Maybe we'll whip up a video or something on that. Let's slide over to the weekly bombs. I'm going to go first. I'm going to give a dub bomb to being able to start with all 6 Eternals in the Amazing Eternals. Hallelujah. If you watched the last show when we talked about the Amazing Eternals, we thought it was really dumb that, A, you only have 6 Eternals, but that's okay. The game's still in testing. I'm sure there's going to be more characters and more maps. We talked about that on the show. However, we thought it was really, really dumb that you had a choice of one of 2 Eternals, and you were stuck with that one until you played enough matches to gain the requisite amount of experience to open sequential heroes or Eternals or whatever. With a roster of 6... why some of them were locked behind experience gains, forcing me to play 1, 2, or 3 characters that I may hate. By the way, the healer was like the second one you unlocked, so you couldn't even start the game as a healer if you want. It was really stupid. They've changed that. They've unlocked all 6 off the beginning, and they've changed those board spaces to give you packs and extra stuff instead. So dub bomb to a decision that really wasn't such a hard concept. I don't even know why it was an issue. Go ahead, Jason.
I'm going to give an A-bomb to the Final Fantasy IX strategy guide, which I was reminded of today from an article on Kotaku. God, that thing was an absolute piece of crap. It prevented me, or at least it was a factor in why I didn't want to play Final Fantasy XI. Because that was all go to play online to make your account. And I was like, no, I'm not going to play online. Screw that. F that strategy guide. F everything.
I have that strategy guide. It's
So do
right
I.
there. It is the dumbest strategy guide ever. And yeah, you're right. That was when Play Online first became a thing.
Didn't stop you from playing Final Fantasy XI, obviously.
Well, no, because Play Online was the downloader, basically. It was the launcher of its day. Now every game company just has its own launcher with 7 things, but that's what Play Online was. They put Final Fantasy XI in there. They put oh shit. Was it Tetramaster? Yeah, Tetramaster, the card game in there, and I think the intent was to put some more stuff in there, but yeah, oh god, it was awful. You're absolutely right. Go ahead, Q.
Well, first I'm going to give an A-bomb to myself and Justin because we still haven't made it to the Tokyo content in the Secret World, or Secret World Legends. I still call it the Secret World all the time. Just that. So we haven't even made it to the first Tokyo content, but I'm going to give a bomb to the Orville because it is my new favorite thing ever right now.
Really? Speaking of reviews, the reviews have not been good on that. Have not been kind to the Orville.
If you were a original Star Trek fan, but you want it's like Star Trek except the people behave like real people.
What if I despise everything Seth MacFarlane's ever done?
Well, you probably will hate the Orville.
No sense of fun whatsoever.
From the viewers, Lagwin1980 says, giving a non-free-to-play related bomb, a dub bomb to Sonic Mania, which I've been enjoying over the weekend. I'm hearing lots of good things about Sonic Mania, which is finally good to hear about our blue hedgehog friend. Go ahead, Jason.
Well, Fredo Rivera says, A-bomb to SWTOR still being a thing. While it has great promise, a massive amount of recognition, and my favorite IP at its core, I can't help but cringe at every ball dropped by EA BioWare with something so near and dear to my heart. I find my lack of faith in SWTOR completely justified. Oh, that was true.
Go ahead, Q.
You saved this one just for me, didn't you?
Of course.
Screaming Dizzbusters. A-bomb to refried beans. Meat's good, so I eat a lot of them. Refried beans are good. I grew up in the Southwest, so. But each time they cause gas and a tummy ache, those crafty beans, are you eating them with cheese on them? Because that could be the problem. Just saying.
Grobin says, so I was listening through the entire Epic Games thing last show, and I kept hearing Epic Games, Fortnite, and was like, yep. But after the 4th or 5th time I heard Paragon, I stopped and thought, what the hell is Paragon? Also, the bomb to giggling like kids. Yeah, we did giggle like a teenager when a sexual innuendo slipped into the show unaware. And then we all giggled like we were 14 years old. Go ahead, Jason.
So then Naruto39 says, A-bomb to guys who rationalize their preference for the gender of their MMO characters based on sexuality. It's either I'm straight, of course I want a nice piece of ass to look at, or I'm not gay, of course I don't want to be a female. Do you really need to mention your sexuality for this? You can reason without it. A rationale can't support two opposite conclusions.
Any of you have preferences?
I usually play as female, not based on the sexuality thing, but based on the fact that, to me, visually, male characters usually end up looking like ass. Like, I don't know if it's because most game developers...
And not like a piece of dat ass. Just
not like a piece of dat
garbage.
ass, like a poorly designed... In fact, the only male character whose butt I've enjoyed staring at for any extended amount of time is Johnny Gat.
Jason, you got a preference?
Well, I do both. I mean, I tend to lean more towards male, but I do some female characters every now and then.
I typically alternate. Unless a game, like to Q's point, there are games where I think the male character models just look terrible. Or the male character models look fine, but their animations are abysmal. And so I roll a female in those. But generally, I just... what did I roll last time? I think it was a guy. I'll roll a girl. What did I roll? I'm pretty sure it was a girl. I'll roll a guy. It really doesn't matter to me. Although, what's funny is that has ended up with the games like Destiny and Final Fantasy XIV, the games that I play more. If you looked at all of my accounts... they generally just happened to have female characters that became my main, so you would think that I generally roll females, but it's typically 50-50. I'm just like, what did I roll last time? My daughter asked me that. She's 10 years old. She asked me that the other day when she saw me playing Destiny. Why are you playing as a girl? And I said, because that's what I just happened to roll in Destiny 1 when it came out, and my character transferred. Oh, okay. I mean, she didn't care. I don't care either, so... Sebastian Bursch says, I'll be honest, I don't know why I'm subscribed, talking about our YouTube channel. I watch videos and don't know if it's you guys sometimes, but whenever I see a video that has an attractive title with news, but it's an hour long, that turns me off. I don't make it past a minute, even if I click it before I see the time. I'm sure other people like shorter videos that deliver news more efficiently and attractively. I'm just not interested in this format, and I'm willing to bet that of the 189k subs this channel has, a majority of them don't even bother watching or commenting on what I'm saying, mostly because I can get my news elsewhere. Just wanted to give some constructive feedback on your format. I'll never watch a video that has news that could be covered in 7 minutes for an hour. And I replied to this individual user on YouTube as well, but I think you're watching the wrong show. I think that's all it comes down to. We totally get a 45-minute to an hour podcast is not going to be for everybody, but this isn't a news show. Yes, we take the news and jump off and talk about other things, and 90% of the time end up sidetracked and talking about life stories anyway, but this is more an opinions-based show. Check out Free to Play Weekly. That's exactly what you're talking about. We post that every week, 7 minutes, 8 minutes for the entire week's news, and then first looks and everything. Just a variety of content for different people. We understand it's not all for you. We hope something will be for you, and that you'll stick around and check out other things along the way. But thank you for the feedback. Much appreciated. Never be afraid to give that type of feedback, please. We take it to heart. Question of the week last week. What does WildStar have to do to earn a visit from you to check the game out? If there's nothing they can do now, what about the game turned you away? Elusive X Treasure says, for the question of the week, not be attached to NCSoft. Well, Elusive's never going to be checking out WildStar. Been boycotting them since the City of Heroes debacle because, frankly, I don't want to get attached to another game that might get the axe with little to no warning. P.S. It's not a mankini, but the hubby's primalist does rock a loincloth and not much else. Wiggles eyebrows, talking about our hubby's Rift character and some references to last week's show. Now, see, the last time...
There's a male character.
Now, see, the last time Elusive X Treasure said something, and it was about tying up, and I said 50 Shades of MMO, she yelled at me in the next week's comment, but it's okay for her to wiggle eyebrows at the loincloth mankini. All right, I see how it is. Double standard, but that's all right. Elusive...
I don't know that that's a double standard.
No, that's a double standard. Get the hell out of here, Q.
No, because you're inferring what she's, saying.
Oh,
And
come
you're
on!
inferring
I forget
from
what the
it rather
comment
than
was.
her
It was about being tied up.
Rather than her specifically saying, "Okay, I'm being lewd now," which is what she's doing here.
Elusive, we love you and your hubby. So yeah, you're never gonna play WildStar then, because if it ever gets unattached from NC Soft, it'll be because it's closing. Go ahead, Jason.
See, this is the kind of quality content we can't fit in 7-minute videos. We can just talk about mankinis for an hour. All right. So Code in the 79 says, great question of the week. For WildStar to get me back, would have to ditch the over-the-top cartoony graphics. Personally, I have no issue with stylized graphics, even if they are more on the cartoony side, like Aladd's or WoW, for example. But WildStar is too far over on that side of the spectrum for me. It has me feeling like I'm playing an episode of Looney Tunes in Toontown. I bought the game at launch and came back for a month when it went free to play, but I just can't get over that style choice. It's simply too hard for me to get immersed. Now, here's one thing I kind of wonder, though. It's like, okay, then why did you buy it at launch? Did you not see videos where it showed off the characters? I can get it if you bought the game and you didn't. Oh, I didn't like the gameplay. I didn't like how it felt. I didn't like how the progression worked or whatever. But why'd you blow your $50 when you can clearly see what the characters were and knew you didn't like that?
Yeah, but I can kind of see saying, all right, maybe it's a little more cartoony than WoW. I'm sure it's not. Yeah, I could see like being limited on what you saw, and I could also see just, you know what? I want to see if the gameplay attracts me enough that the art style doesn't bother me anymore. And it didn't. You know, I could see that.
But in that case, the argument would be to change the gameplay style rather than the art style. If literally the only deal breaker for you is the way the game looks, they put out trailer after trailer after trailer after trailer.
Yeah,
and
but there's
key art after key art before the game launched. You knew what it looked like. You knew it had that over-the-top cartoony style with the little cute, whatever that critter is called.
Bunny girls and bunny men. Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
Suikoden, you have an amazing name. That's one of my favorite game series of all time. And you know what? I'm on your side here. I could see making that purchase. Don't worry about what these two said, because
the guy who bought
my review of any product or movie is the only one you should ever listen to. So I'm with you. Go ahead, Q. Take the next one.
Wilfredo Rivera. WildStar needs to balance the game a bit where the fun stuff comes through the level progression naturally and steadily instead of leaving it all for in-game. That's true of so many games. I love the idea of WildStar, but it doesn't bait the hook very well. I need to feel like it's more than a grind to cap. I need to feel drawn to playing the game. Art style, combat lore, quippy attitude makes the game feel awesome, but unfortunately it keeps everything worth doing behind 50 long, grindy levels.
And that's hard to disagree with. So I think out of 3 opinions of people giving us things that WildStar could change to get them back, and I think they're very valid opinions that are shared by many people, we are 0 for 3 on any that could actually happen to get them back into the game. So let's see how we fare with the last 4 here. KO says, WildStar, love the game, graphics, animations, classes, all cool. What I didn't like, questing. All right, so KO's isn't going anywhere. I was getting lost all the time. Same thing happened in WoW when I started playing, but I was able to figure things out easier. I just couldn't do that in WildStar. Also, one gameplay problem. Mini game during combat. Press AAA or whatever is completely stupid. I cannot explain how furious that made me. It's a silly thing, but it's only there to make you annoyed, not actually engaged in the fight. Anyway, I wish they had more players because the game is actually pretty awesome and fun. And to be honest, if it had more players, I would definitely sink a huge amount of time playing it. Well, maybe KO's actual final end thing there was I wish it had more players. So maybe, let's put KO's on the list of possibly could happen. If it got more players, KO would be in and back in a heartbeat. So we'll go there. One out of 4. Go ahead, Jason.
Hold on, I was going to see how many players they had compared to Wild or to
Oh my God!
But I'll do this first. Use and Go says, question of the week. This might be a long one. I love the styling and feeling that I get from the game. I played it on free-to-play model to near max level. Truly can't remember the number now. But one thing that pissed me off was eventually you couldn't create a working hybrid spell slinger. You had to be one or the other, DPS or healer. You just couldn't make it work properly. And groups instances you got trashed about your favorite build, semi-healer caster. just because it didn't do enough of this or that, or you saved the party from wipes several times. Even if you save the party from wipes several times. Second issue was the extremely short cooldown on spells. Yes, it's fine and good, but I'm starting to be old enough not to love button smashers because the combat sometimes felt like crazy 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, repeat and rinse, and these bosses have had enough HP to make it last for a damn 10 minutes or more sometimes. I haven't been looking at WildStar's patch notes ever since. Maybe they fixed some issues. That's pretty granular. That's a lot more than what I see from just, oh, game's too hardcore, not enough players, so, you know.
Yeah,
we actually put some effort into that.
And while the combination of hybrid things, you know, yeah, it still does that. Unfortunately, the game is highly based on the Trinity, tank, healer, DPS, so yeah, you still get a lot of the groups not liking the hybrid builds because they're looking for something. Use and go, since I'm gonna read that main things were the spells, the cooldowns making combat, button mashing, and repetitive. And if you really, really like hybrid classes, while you can do it in this game, it is not the ideal method for you to enjoy yourself. Since those two things can't be fixed, I'm putting use and goes in the 0 pile. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Those things aren't going to change. They may be improved upon and tweaked slightly, but aren't going to change. So we've got 1 out of 5. Go ahead, Q.
Kinetic Fetus, Wildstar. If it died and reincarnated as Wild Arms, I would play it then.
1 out of 6. Wild Arms, fantastic series. Love Wild Arms and Wild Arms 2. Love it. No, not so much Wild Arms 3. But Wild Arms 1 and 2, great stuff. Not going to happen. Finishing it up, Dave Clinch. I played WildStar when it first released about 2 months and went back when it went free to play about a week. There's nothing they can do to get me back. I can't explain it because WildStar hits all the marks as an MMO for me, but I just feel so about it. I just don't have the desire to go back. And Dave is exactly where I am. There is so much that I'm like, I love that about WildStar. I love that, but not enough to play it. But I love that about WildStar. I love that, but not enough to install that damn thing again.
Yeah, this is where I could go on my very long rant about how, yeah, there are a lot of great games out there, and they're all greatly reviewed. There's still just 24 hours in the day.
Yep.
And that's the problem. There's just too many games to some extent.
So great feedback. Thank you, viewers. Question of the week this week. What do you think of Steam's new review system? Is it better? Is it worse? Does it help buyers avoid any storm of bad reviews that a game might get bombed with? Let us know about your thoughts in the comments below. While you're there, give us your weekly bomb, dub bomb for something good, A bomb for something bad in the world of gaming, or hell, whatever you want to talk about. And if you have any questions for the panel, throw those down below. We'll be sure to answer them as well. Until next week, Q, where can everybody find you?
Hanging out on Twitter at Quitlin, and probably dead somewhere in a few hours.
Gotta go take a nap. Get that cat out of there and go take a nap. Jason, what about you?
Find me on Twitter at WinterInformal, streaming at twitch.tv/JasonWinter. And I should mention, good news, nothing in the house caught fire this last week.
Nice. Fantastic. It's a good week. My name's Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magicman. You can follow me personally right there on Twitter at MagicMan1. While you're there, of course, and more importantly, follow at MMOBomb so we can tweet you all the news, articles, 7-minute shows, 1-hour shows, 40-minute shows, and 53-minute shows that you could ever want right into your Twitter feed. Until next week, gang, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.